I've got about $600 worth of sales to go over in today's video from pretty recent sales on Poshmark and eBay, and I'm under a little bit of a time crunch because I have to get to futsal open play. So we're gonna go through these pretty quickly, and I did order them in length of time it took for them to sell. So I'm gonna share the ones that took the very longest first, and then make my way down to the one that sold the fastest. And quick spoiler, the one that sold the fastest actually also sold for the most money. So that is definitely one worth sticking around for or skipping to if you don't want to see the rest of the sales. But hopping in to the very first one, this is a Maeve Anthropologie button front striped blouse. This one took over 800 days to sell, so this is one I will be leaving behind, especially if it's going to sell for $11. This is a brand I really haven't been picking up nearly as much as I did a few years ago, and it just kind of slowly trickled off. Doesn't necessarily do very well, so I think for items like this I will pass. I think that it'll probably be pretty situational if I do pick up that brand again, but it's not one that I'm going to just like pick up no matter what, even if I'm only paying a couple dollars for it. Next up was this Rebecca Virtue strapless wide leg cover-up jumpsuit. This one also took a long time to sell and then sold for $12. So again, you know, a long turnaround time and then a very small profit, so not necessarily worth it. Although I do think this is a brand to know and to be on the lookout for, especially when it comes to their swimsuits. That's what this brand is really known for and does really well. This brand definitely sells for quite a lot retail, and sometimes it can resell pretty well, but I have definitely had better luck selling their swimwear. It'll sell a lot quicker and sell for a bit more than this, especially if you find a new with tags swimsuit. Next was this J. Crew pair of chino shorts, another sale that took a long time, well over a year, only sold for $10. A good like bread and butter sort of an item, and but also nothing substantial at all, left me with like a $5 profit. So probably, you know, we'll pick these up here and there if it's in really good condition, but I wouldn't expect for it to sell unless it's summertime or around there, or maybe a one-off sale for someone like going on vacation, but they just aren't like constantly selling, and then, you know, didn't sell for that much. So kind of the first three sales, not super great. And the fourth sale is not super great either, but sold a tiny bit quicker than those other three. This was a pair of Levi's premium women's cutoff shorts. They are the 501s, and they sold for $15 on Poshmark. They are that premium label, which can do actually a little bit better, I think, especially for actual jeans rather than shorts. And if it's a good style, can do pretty well. But these took a while to sell. Again, same thing as the J. Crew, like situational. People aren't gonna always be buying shorts, but you know, if my cost of good is $1 or $2, maybe it's worth it, maybe not. I think it just really depends partially on the day of thrifting that I'm having. If it's like nothing to be found, sometimes I will sell for something like this that is reliable eventually, but might take a while to sell. This next one was a Givenchy blazer jacket. This was a great find. I was thrifting at a thrift store, what a wild thought. But I was thrifting at a beach thrift store, like a small little thrift store at the beach, and found this for $2. I didn't really know how well this one would do, just because some of these like suit jacket or blazers can sit for a long time. You never really know exactly how well they're gonna do. And this one in particular took 421 days, so a bit over a year there, but it did sell for $75. And that was a pretty strong sale price, left me with $58 in profit after my platform fee, shipping cost, and cost of good. Definitely don't find that brand very often at all, so super excited to come across that. Then these next two sales were a pair of Roan shorts, and I thought it was kind of funny that they both took like almost the same amount of time to sell. One took 396 days and the other took 382 days, but they both sold for under $20. I bought those both at a regular thrift store. So one was $6.49, the other was $7.99. So together those left me with just under $12 in profit. So but probably would reserve that brand for the Goodwill outlet if I'm going to pick it up again. Let me know if you have experience with this brand and like which categories you've had the best luck with. This was a Lululemon notched neck women's tank top. This one sold for $14. Really good, you know, simple, basic Lululemon item. Would not have expected it to sell for more than 20 bucks. I did list it at $20 and then sold it for $14. Was left with a little over $9 in profit. Took just under a year for that to sell. Wouldn't buy that at a regular thrift store for $4 or more, but at the Goodwill outlet, it's super lightweight, doesn't cost much when you pay by the pound. So for that sort of situation, I'm happy to pick up good Lululemon pieces. And I thought this one was a little bit more of a current style with like the notched neck. So did pick that up and was a good little flip, but not a great profit or anything. Then speaking of not a great profit, this was a pair of Hudson jeans. They were a straight leg, which I think does okay, but not great, and sold for 11 bucks. I had these listed for quite a while, 298 days to be specific, and they left me with $5.59 in profit. You know, a lot of like lower sales here, but some of these I have had listed for quite a long time and was just like really happy to see them go, create some space for new, better inventory, and just keep it moving. Luckily I didn't lose money on any of these. Some of them are really low profit, but at the end of the day, like, it does still leave me with a profit, and somebody got an item that they wouldn't have, you know, necessarily gotten otherwise, because I found it in a thrift store randomly at the beach or in the Portland Goodwill outlet or whatever. So I do think there's that kind of like cool factor of flipping clothes. Like, even if it doesn't leave you with much, it's still just like a fun, cool process. I don't know. Then I sold this J. Crew men's large button-down shirt. This sold for $15. I loved how this shirt looked. Like, it was really soft, just like looks really nice, really good condition. So grabbed this at the Goodwill outlet for a couple dollars, sold it for $15. And you know, J. Crew, so hit or miss. Sometimes it sells really fast, sometimes it takes a long time, sometimes it sells for more, sometimes for less. Like, it's just all over the place, but it is like such a well-known and I think well-loved by a lot of people brand that it usually will sell. I can count on it eventually selling. I just don't always know how well it'll do. And this is a brand that I think you should know if you don't already. This was my first time ever seeing this brand. I noticed the tag and just could like tell right away that it was probably something good and worth looking into. So this is a Knickerbocker men's sweater vest. This sold for $40 on Poshmark, and it took 242 days. I was sitting on it for a little bit and was wondering, like, was this a good pickup? Was it not? But ultimately it was a good pickup. A good indicator for me, aside from just like feeling the quality of it, was that it said New York City on the tag. Anytime a tag says New York City or Los Angeles in particular, like if it's made in the US especially, but like if it says those, either of those, I'm usually more inclined to look into it. So that's what I did here. And then, you know, being at the Goodwill outlet, the risk is very, very low. So if it's a new brand, that's like definitely the place I want to try out a new brand to see how it'll do, because it's not gonna, I'm not gonna lose much money if it goes south. This was a Max Mara women's wool blazer. This one sold on eBay and it sold for $40. Took 194 days to sell, so not a bad flip. This one I actually bought at a regular thrift store, so I paid $7 for it. And I did price that up like pretty high because Max Mara is a pretty expensive brand and, you know, designer. But yeah, I ended up accepting a much, much lower offer. I think I want to say, maybe not. I was gonna say maybe I dropped the price, but I'm not sure that's true. I think I just accepted a really steep offer eventually after 194 days. Then I sold this Cotopaxi fleece jacket. This is a brand that I feel like is doing very well right now. I'm seeing it quite all over the place, and that could be because I live in the Pacific Northwest, but I do think it's, you know, around a lot more. I'm seeing backpacks and jackets and hats, and this is like, you know, up there with Patagonia, Arc'teryx. So I think that is a good brand to know if you don't already know that one. And this one sold for $28, left me with $20.18, and took 3 months exactly for this jacket to sell. Then this was a Barber men's shirt. This one sold for $15. A really good brand to know, and if you ever come across a Barber jacket, definitely look into it and pick it up if it's in good condition, because this brand, their jackets can do very, very well. This dress shirt, you know, didn't sell for a ton, but it sold pretty quickly, under 3 months for that one to sell, and left me with about $10 in profit. So for sure would grab that one again at the Goodwill outlet. Would get this brand again for sure, depending on the category. Like I would pay up even a little bit for it, but for something like this, definitely would not pay up for it. My next sale was this marine layer men's cotton blend knit shirt, and this one sold for $20. I loved the style of this shirt. I think if this were my size, like I probably would have kept it. I really like this one a lot. And this is a brand that I am very surprised by at times. Sometimes it can sell so well, like for more than I would expect or quicker than I would expect. And in this case, I think it sold quicker than I would have expected, just because there are times that this brand has sat for a long time for me. So I think it's very like style specific and category specific even. But this one took about 2 months to sell. So quite like, you know, relatively quick turnaround time for that one. Then this is a brand that can sell okay. It really depends, as I feel like all these brands depend, but this is a COS white denim jacket with paint splatter on it, and it sold for $26 on Poshmark. This is an H&M brand, like the H&M company, parent company brand, and yeah, I know it sells for quite a bit more than stuff at H&M sells for, but I haven't always had the best luck reselling it. This one I thought was a very cool style, and I used a few keywords. I used Art Deco, colorful, contemporary. In the title I used statement, so I think the keywords probably helped. I think it's also a visually appealing piece, so when somebody's looking at this, like scrolling on Poshmark, this one might kind of stand out a little bit. Next is this Lululemon Swiftly Tech cropped long sleeve top. I thought this one was cool. Kind of was a little bit more of a current, like with the cropped length, or like a, just like, I guess, refreshed version of the Swiftly Tech, which I have been loving selling since like 2021 when I first found it and flipped it. And so the Swiftly Tech has a special place in my heart. But this one sold on eBay for $19 and took about 40 days. Just a very consistent bread and butter brand that I don't know if I will ever stop loving. Then this was a pair of Hollister cargo pants. This actually sold from my own closet. I did like a little closet clean out situation like a month ago, and this ended up selling for $15 on Poshmark pretty quickly too. Sold in 33 days, left me with 12 in profit. I didn't put a cost of good for that because it was for my own closet, so I usually will just say a $0 cost of goods since I didn't pick it up to flip. So then that left me with $12 with only the platform fee of $3 being taken out. And I didn't have any shipping costs on that because on Poshmark the buyer pays for shipping. So nice little flip, and got that one out of my closet and made room for something that I will wear a little bit more. Next is this Flint and Tinder Henley shirt. This is a good brand that I have heard about from other resellers, like on YouTube or wherever. And I don't know that I had ever found it before this time, maybe one other time, but this sold for 20 bucks. Seems like a really good men's basics brand. And yeah, it sold in 2 weeks, so pretty quick. Happy with that, like very happy with that. And that's why they call it a flip, because you flip it quickly and you don't just sit on it and you flip it. So yeah, that's what happened there. This was a Victoria's Secret pair of booty shorts. This just like made me happy to come across because it just was so, you know, such from a different time, like the booty shorts with the spell out on the butt or like down the leg a little. But yeah, this pair was from 2008, sold for $21 pretty quickly, under 2 weeks, you know, quick, very on trend, used preppy and spell out, Y2K, summer, so put some good keywords in there. Someone found it and bought it pretty quickly. This one I was excited to come across, and I always, like whenever I come across something cool and vintage, I'm like, is this actually good, or do I just like not know what I'm doing? Because vintage is not my specialty at all. I really don't, you know, don't always know a ton, but when I come across something that I'm like, this is a cool style, it looks old, the brand is well known and popular, like, and I found it at the Goodwill outlet for a couple dollars, the stars aligned and I was feeling confident that I could pick this up and flip it. And so I listed this online for 60 bucks. Oh wait, did I even say what this was? This is a Levi's corduroy vest. But I sold it for $45 on eBay, and it took 4 days to sell. So really great higher price sale, quick turnaround time. This I came to find was from the 80s. It's a, you know, kind of like a Western style corduroy, really nice, had that white Levi's tag. So good flip. Let me know if I undersold that. Sometimes I wonder if I'm pricing things right. If you have any specific vintage Levi's knowledge, please let me know if I priced that right or undersold it. I would love to know, but please don't tell me I undersold it. Next, and finally, okay, best sale of all. And this one also came from my personal closet. So that was cool. And I bought this actually at a buy sell trade store. So I originally think I spent like $15, maybe like 15 to 20, somewhere in that range. But this was a pair of Air, the Secret Sauce jeans, and these sold in one day for $140 on Poshmark. So good brand to know. Their jeans especially do very well. I have a waffle knit shirt listed that's been listed for a little while that is not moving. So like I think eventually it will, but when it comes to this brand, Air, definitely be on the lookout for their jeans. This clearly can sell for a lot. I've sold it one or two other times for a pretty high price point as well. So good brand to know. Definitely add that one to your running notes list on your phone if you have one of like brands to know and to be on the lookout for. So that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I've got to go hopefully score some goals at open play, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye.